Retraction of Rizal. Genuine or forged? What is the cause of Rizal's death? In 1896, Rizal was arrested and charged with rebellion, sedition, and conspiracy due to his involvement in the anti-colonial movement, a key figure in the propaganda movement. He advocated for reforms but denied involvement with the Katipunan. Despite this, the Spanish authorities found him guilty and sentenced him to death. One of the most controversial issues in Rizal's life is the truth behind certain actions he allegedly took just before his execution. Specifically, his supposed reconciliation with the Catholic Church and his admiration for Freemasonry, known as the Retraction. Let's define first, what do we mean by retraction? So when we say retraction, this is the rejection or denial of what was said or even any actions that expresses changes in the feelings of the person. It is really true that there was a retraction before Rizal died. So here on Rizal's retraction, people had different views, especially those who believed and those who did not believe that Rizal had retractions. So they were divided into two sides, of course including the Roman Catholic Church, who believed that Rizal died as Catholic and retracted everything he said, and the books he made against the Catholic Church and the Spanish government. Rizalists. These are the people who believed that Rizal did not retract.
Moving on, we have four evidences held by the Catholic Church. First version, it was published on December 30, 1896 in La Voz Española and Diario de Manila the day of Rizal's execution. Second version was appeared on February 14, 1897 in the Barcelona magazine La Juventud. And the third version was discovered on May 18, 1935 by Father Manuel Garcia in the Archdiocese Archives. And the fourth version was published in El Imparcial on December 31, 1896, the day after Rizal's execution. However, it is the short formula of the retraction. Now let's discuss the differences of these four versions of Rizal's retraction. So the first version was published on December 30, 1896, and this version was claimed to be Rizal's handwritten retraction, wherein he purportedly renounced his previous anti-Catholic writings and affiliations, particularly his association with Masonry, and professed his renewed adherence to the Catholic faith. But the authenticity of the retraction letter has been widely debated. Why? Because some believe it was forged or altered by Spanish authorities to make Rizal seem repentant and weaken support for the revolution, and others think that Rizal may have written it under pressure before his execution. And moving on with the second version, it appeared on February 14, 1897 in the Barcelona magazine La Juventud. So this version was attributed to an anonymous author who 14 years later identified himself as Father Vicente Balaguer. So who is he? He was a close associate of Rizal and was one of Rizal's spiritual advisors. Also served as his confessor during Rizal's time in exile. And at the moment of Rizal's death, he was present. Later on, he wrote about Rizal's retraction letter, which is this second version. However, there are things that altered the minds of the researchers. They believe that it was fabricated by the Spanish clergy to paint Rizal as having repented just before his execution, and that there are inconsistencies in the letter, such as handwriting of Rizal. Also, Rizal's family, friends, including his sister, were adamant that Rizal had not retracted his beliefs and that he had died a martyr for Filipino freedom. So, in conclusion, this version of retraction letter is not written by Rizal. The third version of Rizal's retraction letter was discovered on May 18, 1935 by Father Manuel Garcia in the Arcdocian archives. So, while searching for some documents, he accidentally found this claimed to be the original retraction letter written and signed by Rizal before his execution. And this letter was only found after being missing for 39 years since the day of Rizal's execution on December 30, 1896. However, some historians and scholars still did not believe about this, given that it was discovered only many years after Rizal's death, and that there are discrepancies in the document details, as they said. Moving on to the last version, it was published in El Impartial on December 31, 1896, the day after Rizal's execution. So basically, this version is often referred to as the short formula of the retraction, which has a concise statement unlike the other versions. And this fourth version provides a brief summary of Rizal's alleged retraction. However, historians believe that all of this version of Rizal's retraction letter were part of an attempt to manipulate history and tarnish Rizal's legacy as a martyr for Filipino freedom. And even if it was purportedly written by Rizal, the handwriting didn't match Rizal's own writing style. In conclusion, the four versions of Jose Rizal's retraction letter are still controversial. While each one suggests he renounced his views and returned to Catholicism, there are still doubts about their authenticity, differences in handwriting, the timing of their discovery, and the involvement of the Church and Spanish authorities make people question if they were genuine. On the other hand, Rizalistas largely rejected the notion that Rizal had retracted his beliefs before his execution, viewing the various retraction letters as douchous or fabricated documents. They maintained that Rizal remained true to his ideals of freedom and reform and died as a martyr. So, did Rizal truly write a retraction letter? Or did he die a martyr for freedom in defiance of colonial forces? Which side of history do you stand on?